Hey, do you want one of these? Here, I'll give you. You don't want one of these? Okay. Oh, hey, hi there. Hey, have you ever eaten a worm? You haven't eaten a worm? Well, why not? Oh, they're yucky and squiggly and squirmy worms. And you say, what'd you say? Oh, worms are for birds. Yeah, and for fishing. Don't forget fishing. Yeah, you're right. Worms probably are for birds. I'll get back to what I ate in a bit. So maybe you've heard the phrase before, the early bird gets the worm, or the early bird catches the worm. So what's that about? You might hear someone say, we need to get to the store early if we want to have the best selection because the early bird catches the worm. Did you ever hear somebody use that phrase? Well, the early bird who gets the worm is someone who seizes an opportunity at the earliest point in time and often will have the best chance of reaping some benefits from that. Like, she's always the one who's first in line and who does well at all those auctions. She goes early. The early bird catches the worm. So it is saying that the one who arrives first usually has the best chance for success, or if you wake up and get to work early, you just might be a bit more successful. I guess it's phrased after the birds who go out and find the worms, and if they get them early in the morning, maybe they can get some more worms before the other birds start coming. Makes sense to me. This saying was first recorded in English in 1605, so it's been around for a while. And it's a familiar phrase to us, and we know that some people have shortened it to just say the early bird, like in the early bird specials at the diner or the restaurant. The specials that may be offered before 8 a.m. So if you get there early, you don't have to pay as much money. Or the lower prices for the early bird registrations at conferences or concerts or in travel. If you get there early, you don't have to pay as much. So it's really encouraging more people to come during those early times. So we do understand that the early bird catches the worm to mean that if you want to succeed in doing something, you might want to start as soon as possible. So what time do you get out of bed? Do you think it's early or is it late? Yeah. Well, we do need to get up and get out of bed if we want to accomplish something, right? Sure. Now, sometimes it is nice to sleep in a bit, but I know that many of you understand that it's not good to stay in bed all day unless we're not feeling well and are sick. There are a lot of proverbs or wise saying in the Old Testament book of Proverbs about being lazy and not wanting to work. A lot of verses, a lot of proverbs. I'm not going to share all of them with you. I'll share one. From Proverbs 19:15 says, "Anyone who doesn't want to work sleeps his life away, and a person who refuses to work goes hungry." Wow. Can you imagine if a person, not you, but somebody else, spent all their time in bed just sleeping and not wanting to do anything just because they were lazy? Not much would happen around them or for them, I would think. Now, I know that many of you are hard workers, so you know the value of staying busy, of taking care of things, of making sure that your room is clean or that the work that you go to during the day gets done. And you don't just sit there and watch everyone else work, but you do your part. There's this Proverb 24, chapter 24, verses 30 and 34, where this is a story. And the writer is telling this story and the lesson he learned. So I found this very interesting. Listen to this. "I went past the field of someone who didn't want to work. I went past the vineyard of someone who didn't have any sense. And thorns had grown up everywhere, and the ground was covered with weeds, and the stone wall had fallen down." Seems like they weren't taking care of their property, were they? "So I applied my heart to what I observed. I learned a lesson from what I saw. You might sleep a little and take a little nap. You might even fold your hands and rest. But if you do too much of that, you would be poor, as if someone had robbed you. You would have little, as if someone had stolen from you." So it's telling us that we do need to work to take care of the things that we have, or it might be taken away. Just like a farmer cannot allow the weeds to grow over the vegetables. He has to work, or he won't get anything out of that field. It is okay to take a nap. It's also good to be active. to help others, to be engaged in life. And we feel better when we are active. And you know that we can serve God by being active. Colossians 3:23 reminds us to work at everything you do with all of your heart. Work as if you were working for the Lord and not for human masters. So it's not a bad thing to be the early bird, to get the worm. The early bird that shows up to work, that works hard, that makes an effort to have a really good day and to be active. So what do you think there? Should we go for the early bird, for the worm? You want this one? You don't? Okay, I'll eat it again. All right, that was a good worm. And by the way, it wasn't really a worm, some pasta. Have a good day. Maybe you can go out and, like the early bird, find the worm. But most of all, have a day filled with joy and a day filled with peace.